this was we're gonna that effective last I don't know. You know, I mean,
Yeah, that's right.
you can't
Yeah, okay, let's start that.
After 2:10. And as we go by 8 stops, we are going to be departing from stop 1. We go by numerical order, so the next number up would always be your next stop. And immediately as we start, we are attempting to welcome you into our city the same way you would be welcomed into Boston many, many years ago. And once upon a time, to enter our city, you would have to enter to the same wharf, the Long Wharf. The name tells you all, the longest port in Boston. This is the only port in Boston that is actually slightly over 700 feet. It extends itself all the way into the city in our earlier days. Up to about 115 years ago, as you enter our city, this is exactly the same route you do. You are still on your boat by here. The water extends itself and the harbor enters the city all the way to that beautiful tower ahead of you. The beautiful Custom House Clock Tower. And that tower you're looking at is also the tallest building in Boston between the very first good half of the 20th century. Between 1915 to 1960, that would be the tallest building in our city. That Custom House Clock Tower, to construct the tower, is slightly lighter than the stone used to construct the Custom House. Now, as you're traveling, you also already experienced the customs services. So, a little bit of what you do now through the customs. There, the custom agents will immediately approach your vessel. Imagine you are entering our city 200 years ago. This is exactly what you're doing. You are then there being approached here by the custom agents. They'll get off that building, jump in your ship, house set behind it on a temporary office. And they are protesting as we are a city under siege. Keep in mind, we had about 3,000 British soldiers in town and 15,000 residents. So we already were a city under siege. As they are going up the street, that group of people becomes a larger group, eventually leading to the Boston Massacre in front of the State House. And that's where 5 Bostonians are shot. 2 were actually killed in a moment. 3 killed in a moment, 2 mortally wounded. That would give the birthplace to the Boston. When he publishes the bloody massacre of King Street, he immortalizes the Custom House because that would be one of the few buildings very in detail in that same illustration. But he also immortalizes the street that you're now on, because you are now on King Street, the street that gives birth to our revolution. It's known as King Street until we approach our revolution, and that's where it becomes State Street, the non-colonial name he has until today. Once upon a time, it's also called Market Street. This street is the street that, for now, over 300 years, receives anyone coming into our city, constructed in 1713 to replace the original townhouse. That building is now where you will find the Boston Massacre site, as the Boston Massacre happens right in front of that red brick building. And the building now is a museum, where you will see, from that same balcony you will see on that red brick building, is also where we first introduced and read the Declaration of Independence in our city for the first time. Since then, if you're in Boston on the 4th of July, every 4th of July, we once more read it from that same balcony. And as we're approaching that building, which is now one of the oldest public buildings in our country, way older, 300 years old, that building is also the building that was replaced by the newer State House in the late 1790s. So he is a State House for over 50 years. Used to be Salem Witch, that is incarcerated for over 15 years, then released. And when she writes that letter, it becomes the first act of suffrages. Now on your left, the red circle you see. Actually, once we are at full stop, I'll be pointing it out slightly better. But once we are at a full stop, you want to stand up. Once you stand up, look to your left. Once you see that copper circle in that ground, you are now seeing the birthplace of the American Revolution, the Boston Massacre site. And there is where we began the fight for our independence. We almost got through. So you are surrounded by stop. On Washington Street, you now find the Old South Meeting House. So the street intersecting is now to our left, Washington Street. Ahead of this building would be the building that leads you to the famous location where you now find the celebration about Phyllis Wheatley, one of the first black poets being celebrated in our country. Congregate there a lot, but it used to be a church, and there's the church that she frequented. But we are now moving ahead, and as we make motion, we're going to be entering Court Street soon, heading towards. Comes from the French expression, the twin mount or the three mountains, which would be the landscape of our city. Now on your right, the city hall. And be prepared, we are going to be having a lot of fun time in town this weekend. So this will be one of the events that we'll be organizing right here. Even though I reckon I not admire that place. Maybe because of the speakers, but it's not sounding good so far. It's actually in the City Hall Plaza. So what you see on our right, the city